Yo, 3210. Your boy is live. I'm back in effect. Yes, I've been gone so long. Do I look familiar? Do y'all recognize me? If y'all don't recognize me, I'm okay with that because I know it's been a while since y'all seen me. So look, just let me know. Just say, hey, I don't know who you is, and then I won't even take it personal. But listen, I'm back. I'm back live. I'm back trying to give the people the information that they want, trying to answer questions that people have. This one I had got together late tonight. I don't want y'all to hold me because I know a lot of y'all probably, gone to bed. And that's kind of my purpose because I want to be able to just go in, drop some information, and then when you see it in the morning time, then you can, look at it and make a decision. So, but for all the creepy crawlers and the people that's up late tonight, if y'all do see this video tonight, go ahead and share or like it. That way somebody can see it in the morning. Because like I said, my purpose is to put it out there and float it in the real world. And then once y'all share and like it, then, Facebook will do their little algorithm thing and then send it to everybody they need to send it to first thing in the morning. So that's why I'm gonna do this one late tonight. If y'all hear the kids in the back, y'all understand. I got them. I got plenty of them. They was quiet up until I went live. So you know how they go. They wait till you do something. Next thing you know, everybody want to keep up noise. But hey, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. I get asked this question all the time: is it a good time to buy? Because everybody is freaking out about the interest rates right now, and they're trying to figure out what's going to happen when we go through this recession. What's going to happen X, Y, and Z. And I'm here to tell you this. For me personally, security wise, I most definitely would want to be in a home because if you feel like some crazy things are about to go wrong, go happen in the world today, wouldn't you rather just be in your own house rather than an apartment building? So when people ask me, is it a good time to buy? I always tell people it is depending upon your situation. It's specific to every individual. I'm here to tell you that right now. So, and the reason I say that is if you can afford to purchase right now and you were planning to purchase, and let's just say you were planning to purchase a year ago, but because of the inventory was so low, you was getting outbidded, this still might be a good time for you to purchase because one, you still might be able to get, a house similar or close to what you were looking for. And now at this point in time, a lot of people have drawn back. So you don't have you don't have as much competition. So I always say never make a decision on if it's you know never I guess use the outside world to decide on if it's perfect time for you to buy a house. And the reason why I say that is if your income is sufficient and your debt is low and you were ready to purchase, then yes, you might as well purchase a home if that's what you were going to do anyway. So don't look at it like, oh, we're going to recession. Let me just stop what I'm doing. If you feel like you got job security, then go for it. Now, if you don't feel like you got job security, you're dead all over the place, then no, I'm not going to tell you to buy a home going into the recession. It doesn't make any sense because we might not even hit a recession. We just might hit a lull, and it might not even be a true recession. So you never know. Like I said, we wait until the quarter. You'll know at the end of July if we're in a recession or not. So I don't want to go into how you can figure that out. I can do that on another live, right? But anyway, so like I said, I get this question all the time, and I always tell people it's dependent upon each person's situation. So we're gonna take a look at some numbers real quick. I want y'all to look at some numbers, and then we're gonna help decide on if it's a perfect time for you to purchase or not. Because I like to share my screen, make it look like I know what I'm doing with this technology, and then that way we can decide on if this is good for us or not. All right. So look. All right, so I pulled this up. I'm gonna show you two slides. Two slides. This one is gonna be, if you look at it, this is gonna be the sale price for $350,000, and I'm gonna show you the sale price for $450,000. The only reason I picked these two is because they're kind of in the middle. Because right now the 350 used to be the 250, and so the people that were looking for like 3-bedroom homes, not that big, around somewhere between 15, 16, 17, 1800 square feet, they're going to be somewhere around $300,000 to $350,000 now, unfortunately. Now, if you purchased 2 years ago and you got in lucky, you probably would have got that same house for 250, but this ain't 2 years ago, right? Today's price is not yesterday's price, right? So, so let's dive into the numbers, and I'm gonna show you two different numbers on here, so that way I'm gonna show you two up front, and then I'm gonna show you the third and why it matters and why it doesn't matter. So right now, hey, y'all chill out a little bit. I look so right now, when you look at the interest rate, the current interest rate, I think is probably like a 5.4. What that means when the Fed drops the interest rate, right? What that 5.4 means right now, currently, you have to have over a 750 credit score above just to get that 5.4. So if you don't got the 740 and above, then you ain't getting that 5.4. And that's why a lot of people, have a misconception is, people come in and say, "Oh, I got an 800 credit score, so I should be down into the threes." That ain't where the bottom line is. So you start with the bottom line, whatever the bottom line is, and then at that bottom line, the best people with the best scores have that bottom line, right? And then it kind of go up from there. So if your score is somewhere between 680 and 720, then you might be like at a 5.6 or 5.7. Does that make sense? And then if your score is like lower than that, like 640 to the 680, you might be in the sixes. And then, like I said, when I don't even know if they even going below 640 anymore. I know, a couple of years ago they was letting it slide all the way down to the 580s, right? But this ain't, once again, yesterday's price ain't today's price. So let's take a look. If you was trying to get into a house, and let's say your price point was at a $350,000. So I pull this up. These calculations are based upon FHA loans. So if you do like a current FHA loan and you got to have the 3.5% down, that's how much money you're looking to pay down. Note that is not your closing cost. That is going to be part of your closing cost, but your closing cost is going to be added into the down payment. So let's just say on 350,000, your closing cost might be like 8,000. So you would be looking for $20,000 to close. So if you ain't got $20,000 saved up, then we have a problem, right? Now let's talk about the people that don't have that money saved up. If you don't have that money saved up and you're a first-time home buyer, there are programs that'll take care of this down payment. So there are programs that'll take care of this 3.5%, but that'll still leave you somewhere between about $7,000, $8,000, maybe $9,000 cash to close, and you'll need that in the closing. And if you don't got that saved up, then honestly, you probably didn't prepare yourself to purchase a home, because you should always be working to save money. But if you're living for check to check, you don't need to be getting into a house. I'm just going to be blunt and straight up and down with you. So, but in the case, I know I have I always tell people my first 6 houses that I sold, my very first 6 houses, my people didn't pay no more than $500. And that was just for the appraisal, right? And that's because I was able to negotiate their closing costs into the purchase price, because they were first-time home buyers. So they had a program that wiped away the down payment, and then I was able to negotiate that $8,000 to $9,000 into the closing costs. In this day and age, you probably can't negotiate that into that, but there are still some people that probably will be willing to negotiate that into the closing costs, as long as it doesn't affect your debt to credit income ratio with your monthly payment. So if you're looking into a $350,000 home at somewhere around the current interest rate, which I put 5.2 is kind of a good median because it's fluctuating between the 5.2. So you're looking at $2,324 as a monthly payment. Now, this is why I come and I say, if your income can dictate you affording that, then by all means, don't be scared to purchase a house if you are already positioning yourself to purchase. The only reason I would tell you not to, if you know that you're not going to be stable where you're at, you don't plan on living there for at least at a minimum 7 years. I say 7 or 8 years a minimum. Now, you can get lucky if you want to move within 5 years, because the market may rise a little bit in 5 years. But I always say, I learned from my mistakes, put it that way. And when I purchased a home at the end of the last recession, we purchased in 2010, we were climbing out of that recession, but we wanted to move, and we moved in 2013, right? That's 3 years after we climbed out of recession. That was too soon. So I didn't get the value of my home. And then 2 years after that, the value of my house shot up like $60,000. If I waited 2 years, I could have got $60,000. I had to pay $10,000 just to even sell my home, by the way. So yes, I lost money. But if I just waited 2 more years, I would have got at least a $70,000, $80,000 check. If I waited 5 more years after those 2 years, like a total of 7 years, I would have been bankrolled, to put it that way. But there's water under the bridge, right? So if you feel like wherever you're moving to or wherever you want to purchase, you know you're not going to be there in 5 years, then there's no need to purchase. Buying a home right now ain't good for you then. Because when we get up out of this, whatever lull or recession or whatever they think we're going through, like I said, you're going to have to wait for those values of those homes to climb back up to make it worthwhile for you to sell. So you can at least make some type of profit when you do sell. So let's look back at the numbers. So 350,000, you're looking at a 2324 monthly payment. That's on a 5.2 interest. On a 6.2 interest rate, if your credit is not that good and then it climbs back up, let's just say the interest rates keep climbing and you still purchase, but you purchase at a bad time, when the interest rates are at 6%, then you're going to be looking at a $2,500 monthly payment. Now, this is kind of a rule of thumb. Every percent increase or drop is going to be somewhere between $200 to $250 in your monthly payment. So as you can see how the sale price moves up to around like $200, 200 and some change, and then it's about 200 and some change in between here. So the reason why I showed you the 4.2. So let's talk about what happens if you go ahead and purchase right now. It's not a negative. So let's go ahead and talk about what happens if you decide to purchase right now, how it can benefit you in a couple years. All right, so I'm finna spit game now, so y'all need to pay attention. So let's drop into the hypothetical of what the current rate is, and it's somewhat around this. It's probably a little bit, like I said, it's about a 5.4, but it's fluctuating. So let's just say you lucked up, you get a house right now, you purchase, this is your monthly payment, $23.24. Boom. Let's say in about 4 years, the interest rate drops 1% in 4 years. You can refinance, and then this is going to be your monthly payment, right? But of course, you're not even refinancing on 350 anymore because you're going to have that principal is going to be less than that. But let's just say it's going to be somewhere between 2,000 and 2,100, right? When you refinance in a couple of years, right? Now, somebody's going to say, why would I refinance? Because now I'm adding another 30 years, and it's like I lost those 4 years. Pay attention. So when you refinance, now that you drop down another $200-300, the likelihood of you, especially if you purchase now, of you having enough equity to have your 80% into the home. See, within this calculation, people don't know it. The private mortgage insurance is calculated within this calculation. And so the private mortgage insurance on 350 is somewhere around $250, $275, something like that. So you pay mortgage insurance because they don't want to take a chance that if you default on this loan, they want to have insurance against you because you're a first-time home buyer and they don't know you and you only put 3.5 down, or you probably didn't put nothing down because you got the first-time home buyers program, right? So what they want to do is they want to insure this loan. They're not going to just give you some money and not insure it. So they make you pay $270 some to make sure that you're not going to default on this loan, right? You got to basically buy your own insurance for the people that are giving you the money. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, so let's say you got the equity, enough equity, because all you need is 20%, right? So if you want to know what 20% of the 350 would be, I'm going to go ahead. Let's pull a calculator out so y'all can see, so we can see what we do. Hold on. I could do 20. Ain't no, don't I got a percent sign on this raggedy calculator? So that's 70,000, right? So if you don't even have that, so let's say you purchased it at 350, but let's just say you had 50,000 in equity, but in those 4 or 5 years you paid down 20,000, and so at some point you got a difference of $70,000 in equity, right? So with you having at least $70,000 in equity, now when you refi, you don't have to have that mortgage insurance on there, right? So when you refinance, you're going to drop down to the 2,100, right? So let's bring that calculator back up. Let's bring that calculator back up. So now we got, let's just say we down to 2,000 because I'm not going to be refined 350 because 350 is not going to be my principal. So let's say I'm down to 2,000 as a payment. Now I subtract, let's say about 250 of that PMI when I refi in a couple years. That's my note now. So take a look at that. So if you can afford it in the beginning, don't be afraid to say, well, the interest rates are high right now. I really wasn't looking to pay $2,300, but I can afford it because I make, or me and my husband, we both make yada, 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 X amount of dollars. That's not going to hurt us. And if you know that this don't really have to be your forever home, but if you know you're gonna put at least somewhere between 7 to 8 years in this house, it's worth getting a home right now. Because see, now look at your when you refi, now you're looking at 1750. Now you're gonna say, I still lost 4 years. No, you didn't. We all know the first house you buy ain't your last house. We all know that. Things happen, life happens. You move, divorce, unfortunately, sometimes, upgrading the family. You just keep bringing the children into the world. Things happen, right? New job, new promotion, whatever the case may be. So we know that 9 times out of 10, the first house you purchase ain't your last, right? So you're not going to be in there 30 years. So don't look at it like I'm putting 30 years back on this term. Look at it like I'm putting 30 years back on so I can have a decreased payment, right? Then look at it from a standpoint of I can really afford $1,750. I started out at $2,300 4 years ago. Now I'm at $1,750. Along with any other debt that you may have paid off. You might have paid off a brand new car in them 4 years. Especially if you already purchased the car and you're paying on it now. 4 years from now, that car needs to be paid off. Or you're doing something wrong, right? So the car payment that you get back, that $300 plus this extra almost $700, $600, $700. So think about, most of the time we look at the negative and say, well, the interest rates are so high right now, I don't want to take a chance. You can take a chance and still be in a better position in just a couple of years. Because we all know that the market is not going to struggle like this forever. Yes, it might be down for a couple of years, but it ain't going to struggle like this forever. For whatever reason, we're going to find our way to dig ourselves out of it. And if we don't, then we in some big trouble to the point where it don't even matter, right? At least you got your own house to secure yourself in, right? So that's why I want to tell people, don't be afraid because you see the high interest rates and then you get discouraged because you see the high monthly payment. If the monthly payments are within your 35% of your debt to credit income ratio, then I always tell people you might as well go for it, because if this is something you was going to do anyway, ain't no need of putting it off, right? So let's talk about those lost 4 years. So I just told you those lost 4 years don't matter because you're not going to stay in this house 30 years, right? We know that. I know that. You know that, right? But let's just say if you really care about those lost years, right? You're saving. Let's go ahead and do the math. I'm going to do the negative way. 23, 24. All right. You're saving $574, right? A month. Now, with your new note, without your private mortgage insurance, and because of the interest rate, when the interest rate drop and you refinance. So you're going to save $574 upwards of $600, right? On your house note of $1,750, it's going to take 3 months of saving the difference of what you used to pay versus what you pay currently. So if you just say, you know what, and you could do this around income tax time, right? Because, if you got plenty of kids, you might get a nice little favorable income tax, or you might not, who knows? But you could do this in a time where, just don't do it at the end of the year because you're going to be buying gifts and stuff. So do it at a time where you feel like you can afford to take out that difference for 3 months. That's all you got to do. Because you used to pay $2,300, right? So when you refi and then your new loan amount is $1,700, you're going to be so excited. You're going to be, yes. But what happened the month before you just refinanced? You paid $2,300. So you can't tell me you don't got the $2,300 to pay it, right? Because you've been paying it for 4 years, right? Think about that. So now what you do is just take out 3 months of that difference, which is around about $574. 3 months of that difference is going to be, it should be close to what your current monthly is. Well, I ain't going to be close. I know it is. So it's going to be right around what your current monthly is, right? So now, guess what you do? You take that number and you apply that to your principal. You know what happens when you apply that to your principal? Every time, you only do this once a year. You only have to do this once a year. You can do this more than once a year if you want to, but you only have to do this once a year if you want to pay down. If you do that and you apply just one monthly mortgage payment to your principal a year, and you can break it down however you want to break it down, $200 extra savings out your money, and you do it at the end of the year. You can do it like I told you. You can take this out for that difference for 3 months in a row because you already were paying the difference. Don't forget. Don't act like you didn't have that money. Y'all be funny with y'all money now. So however you choose to take that money out, when you apply that to your principal on a 30-year mortgage, if you apply that to your principal on a 30-year mortgage, you'll pay down 7 years. So you actually will save 7 years of payment. So you would have that loan paid off in 23 years versus 30 years. Well, guess what? If you pay that loan off in 23 years and you lost 4 years, you actually had that loan paid off in 27 years instead of 30 years. So I just showed you how you could jump in, get you a home. If you still went the whole 30, which we know you're not going to do, right? You still will have it paid off 3 years early, unless you decide to add more to it, and you still could pay it off earlier than that. But I just gave you the easy scenario, and you only have to do that where you just have to take out that difference. Only have to do that 3 times in a year, each year. And once again, you can't say you don't have it because you were paying it in the beginning, right? All right, so let's look at the people that. So I just want to pull up those numbers just to kind of give you kind of what you see your monthly payment to be. So if you was curious about purchasing a house and you were looking at that $350,000 range, that's what your monthly. Let's look at this 5%, 5.2 right now. So your monthly note is going to be around 23.24. So I just want to kind of give you some kind of real numbers on that. If the interest rate continues to rise, that's what you're looking at. In the event that we refi and we drop a point, that's what we're looking at. Every time you refi, you're going to save what? About $250. So if the interest rate drops down to 3 when you refi, you're going to be looking at what? Do the math now. Somewhere between 18, 19. And then you still going to save that $250 because you at that point in time, you should have some equity, enough equity to where you're going to don't have to pay the private mortgage insurance. So then you get to that 18 and you drop another $250, you down to $1,500 mortgage. And that's what they used to look like, $1,500 around this area. So for the people that say, well, you know what about the price points at $450? I just pulled this slide up just so I can kind of show you. If you're looking at a house that's in that $400,000 range, you're looking at somewhere about $2,988. You know what I'm saying? This is for your big ballers now at this point. So your household income got to be, let me see. Let's do some numbers. Let's do some DTI numbers. What I think your household income 29, so 27 will probably be 100,000. So let's do some math real quick. I like to show off sometimes, not really though. So if you got a combined household income, that means you make 50 and your husband make 50, or let's just say you're a traveling nurse and you make the 120 by yourself, right? Let's do the 120. All right. So you divide that by 12. That's $10,000 a month before taxes, right? All right. So you're gonna take that 2988 and divide that by the 10. So the 2988 divided by the 10 stacks. All right. So your DTI is at 29%. So you're safe. So and that's at 120,000. So I say about 100, and I would say anything over 100,000. So if your combined household income is over 100,000, you're probably in this safe range where the loan officer, as long as your credit score is sufficient, they will approve you for $2,900. And then you have to ask yourself, well, can I afford $2,900? I don't know. Can you? Because at that point, you can't have a lot of debt. You cannot have a lot of debt. Like the only debt I subtracted this by was 2988. So if you want to kind of do your debt to credit income ratio on your own, I'm going to show you the easiest way to do it. I don't know why I keep exiting out of that. All right. So let's say your mortgage is 2988. Let's say you got this Benz payment outside, and it's about $450 because you got good credit. Plus $150 credit card payment. Plus let's say you don't got student loans. Fingers crossed, right? What if you got like another credit card, but that credit card is only $80? All right. So your total debt is your monthly income. I mean your monthly expenses, right? So your total debt is $36,680. So then you take that and you divide that by the same. If you was making 120,000, you divide that by the same 10,000 that you make a month. And you right at 36. You right at that borderline. So for somebody that's making 120,000, you have a little room to have a car note, maybe 2 credit cards. But if you have zero debt, then you got well enough room, and you ask yourself, can you afford it? Yes, you can. This is only 35% of what you make. That 2988 is only, when we did the math originally, it's actually only 29% of what you make if you made $120,000, right? So now you can see what the note will be if it was to go up to that 6%, and then you can see what the note will be if you purchased a house at that 29.88. You look at that 4.2, and if you decided to refi in a couple of years, you drop down to that 27. Then if you save on that mortgage insurance, so the mortgage insurance on 450 is going to be about 325, 350, 325, something like that. So you subtract that. So you take that 327, subtract another 3, you down to 24. That's looking good. So imagine when you purchase right now at this rate, you decide to refi in a couple of years when the rates are doing better, you're already going to drop a couple hundred. If you got enough equity in there, you're going to drop another about 200-300. So you're going to drop a total somewhere between 500 to 600 by just dropping down that 1% and saving on the private mortgage insurance. So that's why I tell people, do not be afraid based on outside information or based on, well, the interest rates, they're kind of high because they're in the fives. I hate to tell y'all, they was in the fives when I purchased my house. Like, if you look up the interest rates for like the last 20 years, like they fluctuate somewhere. They're on average, they average probably like 4.78 or something like that. So yes, the early fives is a little high, but I mean, we average in the high fours anyway, right? And then yes, the low threes are gorgeous, but we really shouldn't have seen them low threes, but we did because they was trying to milk all that money into the economy because of COVID. We already know what happened. We know why we seen that low. They was begging people to buy homes back then because they was freaking out because of COVID. So you ain't gonna see them 2.8s often. So if that happens again, then you need to capitalize, but it ain't gonna happen again. So I don't want you to look at it and be like, my friend just bought a house 2 months ago for 2.8 interest rates, so this 5 is too high for me. No, this 5 is probably only 0.6 higher than what it normally is anyway. Just being honest, just being transparent. So the only way that you can realize that and figure that stuff out is y'all need to talk to the experts, and that's me. Y'all just need to talk to the people that know what they're talking about, right? And that's me once again. So so with that being said, how long I've been on here? 27 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. So like I said, just like it or share it, and then that way we can trick the algorithm so that way people can see it in the morning when they wake up, when they driving to work, or when they're on their lunch break tomorrow. And if you have any questions, do not, I mean, my number is public. Y'all can shoot me a message on Messenger, or y'all can call me because it's on what you say, right? Mine was 6%. Like, look at that. I know I'm right. Listen, I know I am right now. I know mine was 5. I couldn't wait to get it down. But let me see if I left anything out real quick, because I'm like Jay-Z. I just be spitting from the dome, because this stuff is in my head, and I don't come prepared, write down, take notes, all that good stuff. I wanted to show y'all that, talked about that. Yes. So yeah. So if y'all got any questions, just y'all know where to reach me. And don't forget, I'm a realtor for all 50 United States. I am a realtor for all 50 United States. So if we're friends and you don't live in the state of Tennessee, don't go looking for a realtor wherever you live. If you live in South Carolina, don't do that. Let me find your realtor in South Carolina, or let me come to South Carolina and find your home. Y'all better cut this out. I'm tired of y'all being friends with me and then y'all be like, who's a realtor? I'm the realtor. So y'all need to reach out to me. I don't care what state you in. Y'all have a wonderful night. And I'm back. So best believe I'm finna hit y'all with a barrage of lives.